Howdy y'all, this is Stone Hook in Orange, Texas. Here a while back in the comments, somebody asked me when I started napping and if I had any mentors, and yeah, so I've been wanting to answer that ever since, but I just ain't too good at getting in front of the camera and talking, and I really can't hardly nap and talk at the same time, so I've been putting it off, but I'm gonna go ahead and try to do that tonight. I'm gonna just hit on this little place here while I talk, just so I won't be too bored. Anyways, I don't really know when I started napping for certain. It was either 2006 or 2009. And I lean toward 2009 because I think we evacuated for Hurricane Ike in 2008 up on the north end of Toledo Bend. And I found an arrowhead. And I just so intrigued by it, I just had to know how they make it. And it took us a while to get electricity back, to get back down here, and then all the work that was going on. Hurricane Ike flooded this town that I live by. All but 12 houses was flooded from a tidal surge. And wasn't nothing but work to do for a solid year. But after that, I looked on the internet. Matter of fact, we had a dial-up connection. It was really hard to look at a video because it takes forever for that thing to load up. And I watched a video of a lady on the internet, and I forget her name, but I believe it was Practical Primitive. She napped a little glass arrowhead out of a bottom, and give really nice detailed instructions of what she was doing and everything. So, man, I started roaming the lake bed. I made a little set of tools. I had several younger kids and stuff that hung out with me up there a lot around the lake, and I made whole sets of tools. Not sets, we just made little, I think we had a 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch boppers and little pressure flakers, just nailing the end of a stick. But we make little arrowheads best we could, and I just make this little bitty arrowhead. Heck, I couldn't make nothing hardly, and I'd pick up gravel here and there and try anything I could get my hands on that I thought would nap. I was hooked. I'd make little hearts and things, but in 2011, the internet was getting a little better, I guess, and so I don't know, I was getting more accustomed to it, and I looked up, found Paleo Planet on there. And man, on there was Curtis Smith and just all kind of nappers that could just make that rock do whatever they wanted. And I joined that, I think, in 2000, end of 2011. Mostly because Kenley Coyan was on there offering that Kenley rock, and Curtis Smith was selling a bunch of rock and stuff on there, and I had never had no good rock or anything. All I had was little glass bottle bottoms and gravel. So I ordered me a box of Kenley rock. And man, it came in, and as a matter of fact, right when I ordered that, Kenley told me about the napping. I didn't know anything about the Niblets napping. It's only 20 minutes away across the river in Louisiana there. But I was already fishing a big bass tournament that weekend and stuff, and I drove out there. I could only stay about 2 hours, and it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen in my life when I got there. Man, there was big rocks everywhere and people napping, and I just couldn't believe all what was going on. And what Dan Hughes was there with a big old setup of stuff. I never imagined you could even nap anything like all that stuff. So I was just in hog heaven. But anyway, I had gotten my Kenley rock before that. Boy, I took them out of the box and I picked up the first one. They were so pretty, and I just hold it in my hand, stand it up, and I hit it with a bopper. And a big old flake just peeled off all the way across that thing. And as I went to loosen my hand, it fell right down between my fingers, and I thought it cut my finger off. It really cut me bad. I'd never had a rock that could do anything, big flake, nothing like that. But I thought, oh man, this is the deal, you know. Got my finger healed up, and I commenced to working that box of Kelly rock down to, let's see, I got a couple of them right here. I saved them all these years. But, I mean, these were big old rocks, really. I whittled them down to a point. It was almost thicker than it is wide. That one, and I made 2 or 3 of these right here, these little old knife blades, and I put some little serrations in there for fish scalers. And they actually have scaled a few fish. But looking back on them, it sure is a clunker napping job. But that was the first good rock I ever got hold to. But then, for years there, I guess I went on just, I didn't get to go to another knapping for, well, I did go in 2013. I got to go, and I think I only got to go one day that day. But I met Curtis Smith, and I'd already seen him on Paleo Planet, and that was just, I don't know, I was amazed. He was making a big old piece there, working on it thin, and I had seen thin working, him and Woody Blackwell, I think, on the internet, just making little paper thin stuff. And I read about the Sweetwater biface, and somehow that just hooked me on the really thin stuff. And I bought this blade off Curtis Smith. He signed it 2013. It was one of his clunkers. I couldn't afford a good one. But I've looked at this thing a million times, how he did this, and oh, you know, and this was a lot of my inspiration right here. And watching him, and I never got to see Woody Blackwell nap, but just watching him nap and the other nappers. When I started napping, this about all it was, hit boppers. And I don't remember when Jack Crafty came along. I remember he showed up with indirect, and man, that was the coolest thing I'd ever seen again. But I don't know, up until about 2018, 2019, I just beat on rocks to get them thin, and I'd buy a few. Man, rock supply was way different back then. The only place I went to get them was that Nibblets Bluff Knapping, but golly, they just had plenty of big rocks and all kind of high quality rocks. So rocks was no problem for us, except I couldn't afford them. And I'd beat them all down just as thin as I could, trying to make Sweetwater biface. And I never really made it because I didn't understand. Long about that time, I got to start going to the knappings too. I guess I'd say about 2016. So I got to spend more time around Curtis Smith and Freeze Crack and several others. I can't even remember all the good nappers, but I was inspired by every one of them pretty much, because I couldn't do crap hardly. I just didn't understand Flintknapping. They could show me all day long, and it just didn't make sense to me how to get past the problems that I was having. Actually, I just couldn't hardly. And mainly it was due to just bad habits of too steep of bevels, you know, and working too far below center line with a big one. I'd space my flakes out and have them deltas in between my flakes, and deltas just ate my lunch. It took me forever to ever figure out. Matter of fact, I never really learned what to do with deltas too much until just the last couple of years, I bet you. And that's due to mainly working ceramic tile. Just really helped me figure out what to do with them deltas. and be able to work down way thinner points. I'll show you an example. I don't have too much. I made a few thin blades, but they were ugly as heck. So this is a couple that I made. This one broke. I found the two pieces the other day and glued it back together. But I'd work these down to thin as I could with direct percussion, and then I'd finish them up with a 3/8 inch copper rod about 12 inches long held under my leg. You know, indirect percussion, how I'd finish up them flakes and just drive them in there real flat. But even at that, the deltas still ate my lunch. I just didn't know what to do with them, I guess. I'd pressure flake a bevel, then indirect percussion some flakes, and they was always, never could really control them. I didn't understand ridges even really very much, but I just fight my way into the darn thing and always have imperfections everywhere. And then always pretty much break it too. But I was really proud of getting something thin, you know. But like, here's another piece of one, and you can see how that edge is so up and down, them deltas. That was deltas that I really didn't know what to do with. And I really just didn't know how to control them flakes either from where, I might as well close my eyes and hit that dang copper rod. But anyway, with that all behind me, after that, I think in about 2018, I was up in Converse, Louisiana, Mother Follow place, and old Sam Rayborn lives up there. And at the knapping, he always sat down there with Dennis Leach and them. They fluted a lot of points down there. That was amazing to me too, but I couldn't even get it. I just didn't have enough control. I never even dreamed I could flute a point or anything. Never crossed my mind. But I went over to Sam's house, and we was flintknapping there a little bit. And he made up preform, and he had his fluting jig there. He stuck it in that fluting jig and made a flute down like a Cumberland type preform. And man, I was so amazed about that. He used to talk about fluting and all. I made me a little rough preform. It was really thick, man, almost as thick as it was wide, probably. But I don't know, I put a little nipple on there, and bam, that was the first flute I ever made. It went out almost to the tip. I had to reshape it. Then the other side, the platform crushed, but and then I come back and reshaped all this down. It wasn't near that pretty. But it was thick and kind of rough. Anyway, that just hooked me on fluting right there. I come home and started napping slabs and stuff at that time too, and I could nap out little fluting preforms out of slab real quick and easy. And I commenced to breaking points after points after points, you know, fluting. But really, I was pretty lucky when I first started out, especially, I don't know, I'd put some pretty heavy platform where I had to get a lot of pressure and normally tap the bit. But I could just blow out some long flutes, and it was just so dang fun. And it really helped me because I couldn't make a good smooth contour on the top of my point hardly. You know, I'd have a broken flakes or something, especially on them slabs if it didn't clean off the whole slab marks. But that flute, it would just blow right through all them and take them all off there. So that's another reason I like the flute. It would just really clean up the points. And in the process of fluting though, I just kind of got to understand the relationship of the platform to the surface, you know, and how the energy is pressed onto that platform to form a flute. And a lot about flute. I don't know. I got A lot of insight from fluting, really. Along about that time too, I got to where I could make the blade good enough that I could trade blades for rocks. So man, I had more rocks than I ever had in my life at that time. There still wasn't very much. I just didn't have very many rocks. But then I got into making blades and thicker profiles. I don't know. I did that for years, and I really ain't made nothing too. I hadn't really pursued thin points in years, or blades actually. I always just love blades. I don't know. After seeing Curtis Smith and watching Willie Blackwell nap and stuff back when I started out, that was my goal and just my passion to learn to make thin blades. But since then, I don't know why. Wanting to make thin blades after making those other blades for so long. Heck, it wasn't that long. I guess within 2 years ago, I say. I don't remember. But before that, I like to nap Johnstone. I like to nap anything like that thin that I can get a big piece of and just try to knock big old flat flakes out on it. And then fight them deltas. But I got to napping that ceramic tile. And man, that really just kind of helped my learning, understanding the relationship of the shape of that blade and everything else, and the flake travel, and how to work them deltas out of the way, and to get a good enough platform to get a flake. Because ceramic tile and Johnstone, either one, you just don't get away with nothing, and still come out with a blade that's smooth without no hinges all over it. Because I fought hinges from the time I started napping until just a couple of years ago. Really, I just couldn't understand how to avoid them. But on about that time too, man, Freeze Crack, he was always a mentor to me. I tell you, an inspiration. Just the best to me, and he was very generous too. He gave me a bunch, several. I can't remember how many buckets of rocks. And I've still got some. I've worked a lot of them. And just having that extra supply of rock, I think, really helped me a whole lot too, because I don't know, I learned to not be so stressed out about having to try to make something out of rock. Because I used to get a little, I don't know, get my hopes up too much on rock. But I learned to just do what you gotta do with nap the darn thing, and they gonna break. But making blades, I wasn't breaking near as many as I was trying to make thin stuff. But I don't know, since I've worked that ceramic tile, I'll tell you another thing really helped me along with napping. I was always a carpenter, bricklayer helper, you name it, concrete. Worked pretty hard, and I swung a hammer a lot. But I got into building bows, like, self bows out of wood. And I had a big old, I wouldn't say big old heavy, it was just a pretty heavy duty military issue U.S. stamp machete that I used to hew them bows with. And using that machete to hew them bows just helped my swing tremendously. I don't know, I guess it just strengthens them muscles up to make repetitive swings like that. But I could tell that really helped my napping. So once I started building bows, I could tell every time I built the bow and stuff, I just was a little better napper. I could just hit a little harder. That's one thing I've never understood too, because a lot of people, especially nowadays, I hear them say you don't want to hit too hard. But man, when I started, Woody Blackwell and Curtis Smith, they were hitting hard. And I just don't see how you can do it without hitting hard. I mean, you can mess up hitting hard, but you can mess up hitting easy too. Anyway, I think that really helped. Just something about chopping. Daddy, chop, 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 chop. You know, and hew it off, chop, 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 hew it off. That just strengthened my arm and made me a better napper. I'm just hacking this thing all up, but where was I? I don't know, after just a couple of years ago, I got serious about working that ceramic tile and just napped enough of it till I got kind of used to working it. And it taught me more than any rocks, I think, as far as edges. But I already had all them years behind me, you know, to start putting the puzzle pieces together. See stuff like that right there. Just eat your lunch. But that's what I was gonna get at where I'm at now. I've been just thinking all the time about fan blades and the Sweetwater biface, and I actually at the last Niblets Bluff Knapping got to hold and see and feel a replica of the Sweetwater biface. Man, I knew it was thin, but I never knew it was that thin. I mean, that thing was so thin, it just don't make no sense. But I still want to make one. I don't know that I ever would be able to, especially now. Gotten older, my eyesight ain't as good, ain't as strong. I hurt my arms pretty bad a few times, and I had psoriasis. One of these first videos I made on YouTube, I was wearing gloves because I had psoriasis so bad I just had cracks and almost no skin on my whole hand, my fingers. I was just a mess. That's why I wore gloves all the time. And maybe that helped me napping too, because that's about the only thing I can enjoy doing. I just get out and put triple antibiotic ointment on my hands and a rubber glove just to kind of kill the pain and just hit rocks. I finally got on some medicine that cured my hands up, and I'm so thankful. It's a blessing like you can't imagine. But that's where I'm at now. I want to make, I mean, there's a lot of, I'm not a very good teacher. I can't explain this because I never understand none of it myself. But I have done enough that I've learned to recognize what it takes. And I really want, there's a lot of things I want to, especially things that help me overcome the problems that I have for years. I just could never overcome. That's what it is. I knew I was trying to think of something else. Freeze Crack would always ask me when I get a rock, he said, "What you gonna make?" I said, "I don't know. See what the rock will give me, you know." And heck, rock don't give you nothing. And eventually I learned, what really got me started on this, I was working a Texas rock one day, and just right in the middle of it had a little thin layer of the stripe pattern that I could see in that rock. Ooh, in my flakes. and I wanted to just nap to it. So I roughly napped my way over to that layer and got them straps, and it was a really thin layer of straps, but I got them showing on both sides of my point there, so I felt like I accomplished something, and I did. I learned me something about, to work from one side or work whichever side you needed to, because before that, I was just oh man, I just hitting the rock, hoping for the best. But then, from influence and freeze crack mostly, I decided to draw what I wanted to make on a rock. And that was one of the most helpful things I've ever done for sure, to really progress my napping ability, just to put everything together and make what I wanted to out of that rock. So that's really important, I think, to have a plan for your rock when you get started. I mean, some rocks are so out of shape you have no idea maybe, but once you get a handle on it enough, you can get an idea. It's good to go ahead and get a plan and work towards that plan the whole time. I've never been able to watch videos, even back when I went to the knappings and freeze crack was just killing it and putting out videos. The only time that I could watch them was late at night, and I couldn't have no volume on. So I'd watch napping videos with no volume. I didn't know what they were saying. But that really wouldn't do me no good to hear them anyway, because I just couldn't make sense of what they were saying, actually. Just didn't understand. And it was the best teaching in the world. I was exposed to some of the best teaching you could have asked for in the whole world, probably, at them knappings. But they might as well have been speaking in Chinese for me, because I couldn't understand them. I remember one time Bo Earls and Freeze Crack was having a discussion over there close by about deltas and how they work their deltas. And deltas was eating my lunch at the time, so I'm just listening to everything they say. And I just couldn't understand none of it. I just couldn't make sense out of it. I don't know why. I don't even remember exactly what they said. But I remember being so frustrated because I thought that don't make no sense. And anyway, finally got past it. This is going to be a double-ended drill, looks like. But I really just kind of talk more than nap. But I talked about that indirect too. Indirect is so very popular nowadays. Man, when I first started napping, nobody even heard of that, I don't think. They probably had, I just didn't know about it. But once Jack Crafty came along, man, golly. I tried it, and I couldn't do that either. But I wound up with that. My brother gave me a 3/8-inch copper rod. And I fell in love with that thing until I broke it off about 3 times. And then it finally broke in the middle. So I don't got it no more. But I acquired this here a while back. It's a 1/2-inch copper rod. I've hit it a few times, but I ain't too comfortable with it. It's kind of heavy, man. Then I got a piece of 3/8-inch rod stuck in the end of a piece of cane I put under my leg, but it just don't seem to, I don't know, it don't seem to have the force that I was accustomed to back in the day. Then I got a little, like small copper indirect set up here. It's just a piece of delving rod, and I use a dog collar with a hose clamp. I had a T-handle where I could loosen it up and turn the rod or something if I wanted to. But anyway, in the snap ring, it's got a short piece of cane. I like it. And it just go around your leg. It's kind of adjusted for blue jeans without these coveralls. These coveralls look tight, but snap it together, then that cane goes back into the bend of your leg, and I mean that thing's not moving anymore. And if you don't want to, you can just leave it hanging down low like that. Flint, pressure plate, whatever you gotta do, and get it back up. It's pretty comfortable. Anyway, I used to have a big old piece of plastic rod that I hit all this indirect with, but now I use a piece of moose antler. So let me turn the camera up and I'll try to do, I don't do much indirect. I'll zoom in a little bit here if I can. Let's see. A little finer braiding stone too, but I'm gonna just do, I don't know, I'll take a couple whacks at this thing. I don't use this much because actually I don't know how to control it. All I can get is really flat flakes, and I wound up with, I can make some really flat points, but I can really make some mistakes too. See, that's how, I mean, everybody does. I mean, it gets good flakes, but man, I can't get convexity. I just can't seem to get convexity at all with indirect percussion. I never really, I'm sure if you try, I never really I like flat anyway, so that's why I never even tried to get much convexity, because I'm going to keep it flat as I can get it. I didn't hit hard enough. That's another thing too. I've watched a few videos and I see guys, they tap their stick back here in the middle and stuff. I've never been able to do it. Man, if I don't hit this thing right up here close with a good straight down swing, I don't get good results. That's my biggest problem, is kind of lacking on the swing there. As long as you get a good, it's hard to explain. In between, when I got it under my leg, working out under my leg, if you don't make a really good square follow through swing, you don't get the results that I'm looking for. I ain't been looking at the camera to see if you can see this. I'm so focused because I don't really. I love this. I love what it'll do. I mean, it's peeling that thing off thin. I still got a few little high spots, but it will just peel something down so thin and so smooth. It's incredible. That's how I've learned what to do with them deltas, though. See how I take this gonna be a little bit bigger flake across there a little bit. And see, I got that delta. I mean, I've been talking about this on my other videos. Take that next little flake right there, just a little bitty flake. Move that next platform over there just a little bit, right there. I'm gonna break it. I knew I was gonna do that. I set up on too thick of a spot, a little bit past my platform I actually had prepared, so broke it. Anyways, that ain't what it's about anyways. So I'm glad I got that off my chest, and I hope I answered your questions. If you had any, probably. Anyways, I'll be back.